And these hills around us would be transformed from a former slave plantation into a national shrine for those American heroes who died for freedom.
It's either a shrine or a shine. Do you think he was thinking about shrines or shines? And that was his Memorial Day speech where he's talking about slavery, which is a Democrat Party institution in the United States of America. He is not fit to be president of the United States. By the way, the legal scholar and law professor at the George Washington University in Washington, D.C., he is watching the Trump trial in New York in the building, and Jonathan Turley just tweeted, Judge Juan Merchan, a Joe Biden donor and a leftist, whose daughter is a leftist Democrat Party fundraiser. Judge Merchan, per Jonathan Turley, just delivered the coup de grace in giving jury instructions. He said that there is no need to agree on what occurred. The jurors, he said, can disagree on what the crime was among the three choices. Thus, this means that they could split 4, 4, and 4, the 12 jurors, and he, the judge, will still treat it as though it's a unanimous decision. The judge needs to go to prison. The judge is the number one criminal in this whole thing. That is pretty amazing stuff, I got to tell you. And Mark Thompson, journalist, says, this trial has been a farce from the very beginning. Vindictive prosecutors, maniacal misinterpretation of the law, corrupt witnesses, conflicted judge, and politically targeted defendant. The only thing that remains is for a biased jury to convict on a non-existent crime. On a non-existent crime. Pretty amazing stuff, I've got to say. History will judge this New York sham trial as the complete disgrace that it is. Honeywell B. Todd on X, boycott New York. Don't visit. Don't engage with New York business. I think that is a good suggestion. And honestly, Jonathan Turley is a serious man and a legal scholar. Wow. Just amazing stuff. And he is very busy. I think he's in the overflow room in the courthouse. And Jonathan Turley said, I'm back in the courtroom for the instructions, This judge has stated that he wants to stay close to the standard instructions. The problem is that this case is anything but standard. We will be looking for some of the outstanding issues, particularly on the standard of proof for key elements like unlawful means. Yesterday was chilling, Jonathan Turley said, as the judge allowed the prosecutors to engage in some of what some of us view as highly improper arguments. That included effectively testifying on facts not on the record that had not been entered into the record during the course of the trial. Merchan's view of argument was considerably broader for the prosecution than it was for the defense. Merchan is telling them that they can only consider Michael Cohen's plea to a federal election violation was only allowed to judge his credibility and offer context, he said. That is mere meek after the prosecutors said repeatedly that such violations were committed in an indisputable fact. Now, I got to tell you, when Jonathan Turley is champing at the bit over this, we're really in a strange place, honestly. The view of the word argument was considerably broader for the prosecution than for the defense. For the prosecutor making objections, the strike zone seemed like it stretched from the dugout to the dugout. For the defense, it seemed the size of a postage stamp. This judge is a crook. This trial is a sham. This trial is a disgrace. And it's not just me saying it off the top of my head. I didn't go to law school after all, but Jonathan Turley did go to law school, and he teaches law school. And he is a nationally renowned legal scholar. Wow. Amazing stuff. And they just keep moving the goalposts, and as Turley said, changing the strike zone, baseball analogy. Says Judge Merchan just said that if they find that any witness has testified with regard to any material fact, they can disregard the entirety of his or her testimony. It would be called the Michael Cohen charge. It seems clear to some of us that Michael Cohen clearly lied. And these are their witnesses. Just amazing stuff. Secretly taped Trump for his own benefit. This is just third world stuff. And don't take my word for it. Take Jonathan Turley's word for it. And the idea that the jury could be split, not just, 11-1 or 6 versus 6, but 4-4-4, and the judge and the court, because they're filthy, will still treat the decision as though it is a unanimous decision. That is truly extraordinary. Nobody's ever heard of anything like that before. And they're lynching the former and possible future president of the United States. I don't like using the words in this or any other context, but this is the stuff of civil war in countries that are lesser than the United States of America. Man. People are asking, legal scholars are asking, has anyone ever heard of something like this nature, something of this nature in a business records case? A business records case. Isn't that amazing? People are perplexed by the illegality of all of this. And again, this is not politics. This is the law of the United States of America, such as it is. Extraordinary. And today begins the jury deliberations. And, they packed the jury just like they want to pack the Supreme Court. That's how corrupt they are. Wait a minute, we don't have Democrat nominees as a majority on the Supreme Court anymore. Let's stack and pack the Supreme Court. Again, Oongala Boongala, this shouldn't even be something that we discuss in the English language. It's so far-fetched. It's gone so far afield of American jurisprudence that it's not recognizable anymore. Wow, just amazing. These people. Democrat panic. And that's dangerous. They're not Democrats. They're leftists. All right, now let's get to this because let's go to our friend Jamil Jackson in our audio sound bites, because CNN is very much on edge. Biden returns to Philadelphia, this time to win back black voters. What was he there last time for? To loot a CVS or something? What was he there last time? But now CNN is he's getting, because he's doing badly in the polls with African American voters, in particular African American men. And so now the Democrats are in a panic about that. So the party of the bullwhip and the Klan, they're on a crusade, a jihad, if you will, to win back the black vote. And that's what he's going to Philadelphia for. Just amazing stuff. And CNN is very excited about it. CNN is cheerleading with him because CNN is not a news organization. I know, I worked there for a long time. A lot of friends who used to work there for a long time. I don't really know many people that work there anymore. But that's what they're all hung up about. And Biden-Harris to launch a black voter outreach effort amid signs of diminished support. And because they're doing bad in the swing states, they got to lynch Trump. Because they're doing bad with black voters, they've got to lynch Trump. Because they're They're doing poorly with women. They've got to lynch Trump. It's all about lynching Trump. It's the key to success for the Democrat Party. So Fox News spoke to a young man today who is African-American. His name is Jamil Jackson. He lives in Philadelphia, and he's actually a Trump voter. And he was asked this morning about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris coming to Philadelphia in an effort to win over, in particular, black men and their votes.
I don't think there's anything that I can hear to change my mind about voting for Trump so far. I think, like so many Democrat voters, we have hundreds of questions that we want to ask Biden because he doesn't give press conferences. He doesn't answer questions from everyday American citizens. And when he does give a speech, he leaves us wanting more questions answered. And I think when I look at the size of Trump's crowd in the Bronx, and then when I see the governor of New York calling everyone who attended clowns, when I see what's happening at the border, when I see so many issues pertinent to me, such as maybe school loans, such as the economy, about to graduate, looking for a job, and so many of my friends they're going into being store clerks, they're going into being baristas. The economy isn't just in a place where we can just sit still and just vote for Democrats or we're not black anymore. I think he has a lot to answer for, and 6 months is just not going to cut it.
We're not black anymore. You know, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. He said Charlemagne the misspelled God. Charlemagne, T-H-A, God. Hey, learn to spell if you're going to be a major media figure, become a millionaire in the United States of America for lying to people. Democrats, you know, they've got a mutual admiration society for fatuous, racist liars. They're the Democrat Party. But this guy, I love this guy, Jamil Jackson. He's very sharp. Joe Biden might say he's the second mainstream black guy to come along who's articulate and bright and clean. Joe Biden might say that about him. But Jamil Jackson, who lives in Philadelphia, he's African-American, and he thinks he likes Trump.
I remember, I think in Black History Month, he was sitting down with a black father and his two black children, and they were eating fried chicken for Black History Month. And this was one of his ways of reaching out to the black community. And I think there's so many signs of just tokenism.
Yeah, he's paying attention, is Jamil Jackson. And he's talking about Trump in very favorable terms. And I got to tell you, it's time that black voters stopped voting for the KKK and for the, Joe Bidens, who didn't want his kids going to school in a racial jungle, and when they were racially integrating schools in the state of Delaware. And, Joe Biden, the Democrats, Hillary Clinton, and she carries hot sauce in her purse all the time. That was Charlemagne the God, too. They couldn't be more pathetic. And honestly, voting, if you're black, if you're Jewish, and you're voting Democrat, you need to have your head examined. You need a brain scan of some kind. Just amazing stuff. But I love this guy. And also, the Democrats, they got a new plan for us. They're going to spend $900 million of our dollars on electric school buses. This is their plan. They're going to slow the rise of the oceans by spending $900 million on electric school buses, because you can't just buy school buses that are electric. You have to, they're going to buy new school buses. You can buy this one or that one. No. We need another $1 billion for that, because that'll slow the rise of the oceans. And if you believe that, you need a brain scan, and you probably shouldn't be allowed to vote. Extraordinary. Did you know that Father's Day is just around the corner? Father's Day is just around the corner. So what do you give the man who has everything? Well, that's easy. You give him Omaha steaks. That's what you give him, because a world-class dad deserves world-class steaks. The Father's Day experts at Omaha Steaks have made it easy to put a big smile on Dad's face this summer with hand-selected gift packages starting at just $89. That's like one steak dinner for one person out at a restaurant. Just go to omahasteaks.com and use the promo code PLANT. That's me, P-L-A-N-T-E. Use PLANT at checkout for an additional discount when you shop gourmet gift packages for Father's Day at Omaha Steaks. Producer Michael Piercy was very, very impressed with their new gourmet steak fries, too. He was telling me about the steak fries. They're amazing. All you have to do is go to omahasteaks.com and use the promo code PLANT, P-L-A-N-T-E. I got an extra vowel. Nobody knows why. to get exclusive savings. So shop for unforgettable gifts that are guaranteed to make Dad's day, because if there's one thing that Omaha Steaks knows, it's that dads want steaks. That's what dads want. That's omahasteaks.com. Use the promo code PLANT at checkout to save on exclusive packages starting at just $89. Yes, sir. I'm beginning to think there's something wrong with the Democrat Party. What about you? Where are Democrats out there? What's the matter with you people? Yeah, you people. Those people. 888-630-9625. How can you vote for this party? Do you speak English and still vote for this party? Nobody that fled a beep-hole country and came to the United States is voting for these people.
You're listening to The Chris Plant Show.
Yeah, your Twitter is pretty crazy out there. Democrats are a danger to democracy. That's a little bit ironic, I think. A Twitter guy following Jonathan Turley, Tommaso, calls himself Racer X, says, "Why bother? I asked my fiance, who's a brilliant lawyer with 10 years as an assistant district attorney in Brooklyn and an extremely successful litigator in New York City, asked her thoughts on the trial, and she said he's guilty. I asked her guilty of what? She couldn't answer and finally said, he's guilty of being Trump." That's a New York City lawyer. He used to be an assistant district attorney there prosecuting people. This is a lynching. We should expect results accordingly.
This is The Chris Plant Show.
Robert De Niro, completely demented and being used by the Democrat Party as the demented fool that he is. Hey, but he's got a name. He used to be in movies, you know. It's all about that. Now, before I get into any more of that, let me go to a telephone call, Jeff. Let's go to let's go to Tom calling from Rockford, Illinois. Thomas, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning, Chris.
Hey,
glad you took my call.
You betcha.
I just called to say we know now with what the judge told the jury that it can be a split decision, that he's going to consider it unanimous, that Trump will walk out of there as a convicted criminal. We know that now. He's not going to walk out of there acquitted or anything like that unless all 12 jurors say he's acquitted.
That's correct. On 34 counts, on 34 separate counts.
Yeah, but there's no underlying crime that he committed that has ever been established. As you know that, too.
Sure. Yeah, that doesn't bother them.
Right. You know why they're doing this?
Why?
So during the debates, if Biden gets the opportunity, he can say, well, you're a convicted criminal. I'm not.
Well,
that's exactly what it's about.
Well, you're 100% right about that, Tom. You're completely right, and you know the White House has already promised that that Biden will address the nation from the White House after a verdict is rendered, and Joe Biden, if there is one conviction out of the 34 counts of one misdemeanor, right? Then Joe Biden will label him, and the Democrat Party and the media will label him a convicted criminal from moment one. This is the goal of the whole thing, right? He's a convicted criminal, and he'll call him a convicted criminal every time he addresses him, if they even make it to the debates, which I'm still not banking on because Joe Biden's not up to it. But the whole goal is to be able to label him a convicted criminal. It's from the start. That's been the goal, try to put him in prison. And Jeff Wolf and I were just talking about it a couple of minutes ago. And our last brilliant caller, also, Jay, who called in earlier, talking about pardoning first Joe Biden will pardon Donald Trump to look noble, but then they can still say, oh, if he's convicted of a misdemeanor, then the language they use will be he's a convicted criminal, right? That's what they're going to say. If he's convicted of a felony on any of the 34 counts, then they will use convicted felon because that's much more powerful. It's got more punch. And Joe Biden addressing the nation from the White House will immediately start using whichever turn of phrase they can use, the most detrimental to Donald Trump, convicted felon or convicted criminal. And they will immediately, and the news media, CNN and MSDNC, will immediately, and George Stephanopoulos, will immediately start using the terminology issued by the state, by the government, by the Biden White House, and that is convicted felon. And this whole railroad thing, the jury can be split 4-4-4, and the judge is going to consider it to be a unanimous decision. And, here's another element to this, Tom. Tom, this can be overturned later by higher courts, and that doesn't matter because the damage is already done. And this judge will be a hero of the Democrat Party. They'll build a bronze statue to him, hanging somebody from a tree, like the Democrat Party has a long history of doing. And they'll be thrilled about that. They don't care what the truth is. They don't care what the facts are. They don't have an actual crime. Oh, he falsified business documents, really, which is always a misdemeanor if it's ever brought, and it's never brought as a charge. But they upgraded all of that to felony charges because they're a lynch mob on horseback with torches. All right, that's the Democrat Party. It's their history, it's their legacy, and it is their modern reality as well. Now, again, Jay said that, and I believe that he's on to them, that Biden, as an available option, after saying he's a convicted felon, he can then look magnanimous by pardoning Trump so he doesn't go to prison, but he will still have and carry the label convicted felon or convicted criminal if it's a misdemeanor forever and ever for political purposes. The White House has already leaked to their media pals who they're having sex with all the time that they've stood up a social media cell, and cell group is the appropriate terminology. And that social media cell will immediately label him a convicted felon or a convicted criminal, whichever they can go with, after the jury comes back. And they've already stood up. They're all waiting in a basement, watching porn and waiting for the decision, doing what they normally do. And when it comes down, they're ready to get to work on blasting out emails and tweets and Facebooks and Instagrams and everything else, calling him, labeling him a convicted criminal or a convicted felon. And you're right, if we ever get to the debates, they'll use that. Hell, the so-called moderators will be using that terminology in the introductions. And former President Donald Trump, a convicted felon. The moderators will be using that. Or a convicted criminal if they're just misdemeanors. This is the whole point. And if they're overturned later, that doesn't matter because the damage is done. That's going to be in the rearview mirror, water under the bridge, and they'll have moved on. Because it's just about securing power. Power, power, power. It's what it's all about. Tom, thank you. Thank you very much. Now, ... So many crazy things to talk about today, I got to tell you. And Jonathan Turley shaking his head at the jury instructions. Newsweek magazine has the headline, Donald Trump acquittal now unlikely. Former prosecutor, and it's not a colon, it's a dash. I'll give him credit for that. But this morning at 11:10 a.m., Newsweek magazine's headline, Donald Trump acquittal now unlikely. They found a former prosecutor in California whose name is Niyama Ramani, now president of the West Coast Trial Lawyers in Los Angeles, California, said that he thinks an acquittal in what they call the hush money agreement. I think all the networks should be put on trial for all of the non-disclosure agreements that they've had women sign for all the men that have groped them over the years. And they have the women, they pay them off, and they have them sign non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, then we call them because we have to abbreviate everything. Just amazing stuff. I'm telling you. Let me tell you. Yeah, so I mean, look, everybody's onto them. Tom, you're onto them. Jay is onto them. Everybody's onto them. Jerry called in earlier. Onto them. Amazing. Let's, yesterday outside the courthouse, they turned into and we were on the air when this was happening outside the courthouse, and I immediately, I think, correctly identified this as the moment in which this whole episode became undeniably political. The Biden campaign spokesman was in front of the courthouse. They brought a celebrity endorser who has proven, I think, to be mentally unstable. In fact, let's go to the mentally unstable person. Let's go to soundbite number 5 of Robert De Niro, who was wearing an N95 mask like the Wuhan was still hot and active.
I feel at home in these streets. I feel comfortable. The Twin Towers fell just over here, just over there. This part of the city was like a ghost town. But we vowed we would not allow terrorists to change our way of life. And we started the Tribeca Festival to bring people back.
A film festival.
I love this city. I don't want to destroy it. Donald Trump wants to destroy not only the city, but the country, and eventually he could destroy the world.
I think not only the world, the galaxy. I think the galaxy is his, and he must destroy the galaxy. Robert De Niro, he started a film festival in response to the attacks of September 11th, 2001. I can't imagine coming up with a more irrelevant idea than that. But you're a Hollywood dimwit, so get back to playing gangsters and biting your lip and snarling and sneering and shooting people. Because we need more people shooting people. You're a role model for all the Democrats that shoot people every weekend in New York and Chicago and Baltimore and Washington, D.C. You're such your great contributions. Amazing stuff. Now, there was a lot of yelling going on outside the courthouse too at Robert De Niro, and there were people cursing and yelling at Robert De Niro, and it was kind of funny, in its own way, because New York, it was very New York, and then De Niro was cursing at people who were coming up and yelling at him. It was pretty ridiculous stuff. And he's going to destroy the world and the galaxy. It's going to cause a supernova. I think our sun will explode and destroy everything in our solar system, and supernova, the galaxy and beyond, because Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump has spent his life building skyscrapers in New York City. Oh, you've got a film festival? That's nice. Other people make films and show them in a room? That's really very impressive. Now you can drive up and down boulevard after boulevard in New York City and see skyscrapers with Donald Trump's name on the top of the buildings that he built. He built that city on rock and roll. He built that city much more than you did. You're just a dim-witted actor. Honestly, please. A couple of gangster movies after 1976. You got like Mean Streets and Taxi Driver, and then Long Break, then Goodfellas, and, whatever, another gangster movie or two, because, that's what you've been doing with your life, playing dress up and make-believe, and then there's some idiotic movies where he's supposed to be a cute father or something like that. And nobody watches those. Nobody takes you seriously. You used to play in a couple of gangster movies. Just completely ridiculous. Robert De Niro yesterday on the streets of New York.
And that's why I've joined the Biden-Harris campaign, because the only way to preserve our freedoms
He's joined the Biden-Harris campaign.
To our humanity is to vote
freedoms.
For Joe Biden for president.
As we're taking freedoms away. Really?
We don't have a choice.
He's losing his mind because of the car alarm. He's about to have a mental breakdown because they're always on the brink of a mental breakdown. Donald Trump, who was born and raised in Queens and built skyscrapers all over the city of New York.
Because he doesn't belong in my city. I don't know where he belongs, but he certainly doesn't belong here. We New Yorkers used to tolerate him when he was just another grubby real estate hustler masquerading as a big shot.
Multi-billionaire.
A two-bit playboy lying his way into the tabloids, pretending to be a spokesman a spokesperson for himself.
Not a spokesman.
He was calling it as himself for himself.
Pretending to be a spokesman.
To fool the press into inflating his net worth.
To fool the press into inflating his net worth. Now you're onto something. He just sold his Truth Social, and I think he pocketed $3.5 billion. $3.5 billion for that. That's And now he just, I mean, honestly, the world of politics is so polarized. Why, as an idiot actor, you would want to jump in on this bandwagon? It's just an IQ test, and he failed.
But this city is pretty accommodating. We make room for clowns.
Yeah, like you.
We have them all over the city. People who do crazy things in the street, we tolerate it. It's part of the city. It's part of the culture.
Throw people in front of subway trains.
A person like Trump who will eventually run the country. That does not work, and we all know that.
Punch women in the face.
Anyway, we make room for clowns, to each his own. But no one takes him or took him really seriously. They take him seriously now, of course.
Dress up and make believe. Now, which is it? He just contradicts. He's much better when he's got somebody else's lines to read. He's used to other people writing what he says, and that makes his world a much better place because he's not bright enough to speak for himself. All right, Jeff, let's take another phone call. Let's go to Johnny calling from the great state of Maryland. Johnny, you're on the Chris Plante Show. I can't hear you. What happened? No, I'm sorry. It's line two. Hey, there's Johnny. Hey, Johnny, sorry about that. Little confusion here.
No, it's okay. How you doing today, man?
All right. How about you?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. I just wanted to state a couple points. Well, I am a black man, and I live in the state of Maryland. Mm-hmm. A Democratic state, but no one down here is listening to any of this madness that's going on. It's absolutely insane. What we are realizing is that Joe Biden has sold out our country, and we know for a fact that they know that they cannot come here and they cannot bomb us. They already proven that in 9/11, knowing that if they try to, that all Americans will stand up. This is why he's opened up the border to destroy our country from the inside out. And this is why they're going after Donald Trump. Hand over fist, man. They're going after him. And no one's listening to Robert De Niro after he read that script. We all seen it. We were sitting there watching. We were commenting on it. Like, he was paid to read a script. So no one cares what Robert De Niro says. Our fear is, what can we do? What can we do? Because obviously, with Joe Biden saying that he's going to debate Trump, which we know that's not going to happen because he's an idiot, and also that after the jury come back with their decision, he's going to give a press conference. So they already have something planned. So I guess my question is, what is it that they have planned, and what can we do to stop what's going on? Because right now, if Joe Biden wins, the country everyone has known it, is going to be gone.
Yeah, well, honestly, Johnny, you've cracked the code and nothing's getting by you, and I'm glad to hear that you and your friends were watching yesterday and you were mocking it and shaking your heads at what you were seeing yesterday.
Yes, we were. It was absolutely. This man is on trial, and they decide. They actually play their hand, because this whole time they say they have nothing to do with it. They have nothing to do with it, but yet they're going to have Robert De Niro, of all people, mm-hmm. come out during the case and speak, and nothing he said made sense. It was just like, you're an idiot. And I was so happy when I heard the horns in the background. I'm like, blow him louder. This guy's an idiot. Get him out of here.
Well, and it was the Biden campaign and the campaign spokesman who was there orchestrating the whole thing. This is nothing but a political sham, and it's get Trump so they can keep power with this demented sock puppet in the White House. And behind the curtain, you've got the hard left in the United States of America and the international hard left. And you're right, they're here to make the United States unrecognizable. Barack Obama promised the fundamental transformation of America to make us into something that we won't recognize. And that's what they're in the process of doing, Johnny. And what do we do about it? You know, that's what I get out of bed every day asking and fighting the fight to try to save the greatest project in the history of the world for freedom and human liberty, for our republic. Because without us, the world is lost. Without the United States of America standing up, you know, when we trip and we stumble and we get stuff wrong, but without us, the 21st century is lost. It becomes a slave planet. Totalitarianism wins. And Joe Biden is just a useful idiot. But Johnny, listen, check back in, please, when this trial is over with. I want to hear what you're thinking then.
There's only one Chris Plante. The Chris Plante Show.
They're very excited at the Smithsonian Institution's National Zoo that they're getting 2 new pandas. We've learned that the 2 new pandas sneaked across our border last night, our southern border. They have video cameras and listening devices attached. They're espionage pandas. They've already got the grades to get into Stanford, but Stanford has turned them down. They've rejected them.